It's an insane 14-game day in the NBA on Wednesday. Let's look at all of the games, some injury updates, the things that are on my radar as well. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and I used to dress up as Shirty, the slightly aggressive bear. And I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com. And you can find me on Twitter, as always, at redrock_bball, on TikTok, at redrock_bball, and on Instagram, at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free. And we are available on all platforms. Earlier today, we did a buy low and sell high show. Go check that out. Later today, we'll do a recap of all of Tuesday's action. And then tomorrow, the big 14-game recap. Tomorrow, there is a waiver wire show, and that's all coming. It's all coming up in the next couple of days, so I'm excited to bring it to you. And I hope you do enjoy this show, and if you do, hit a thumbs up, hit a like, hit a subscribe on YouTube, and follow the podcast wherever you are listening. I'll chuck that at the start of the show here. Just again, a little bit of a reminder. I don't do it all the time, but just hey, hit the thumbs up, hit the likes. I want to hit 70,000 subs on YouTube. Actually, I want to hit 100,000. I don't think I'm going to hit that this season, but let's hit to 70. That would be great. Let's talk Wednesday. Now, because it is 14 games on, we are not streaming, right? It's just impossible to do that. So I'm not giving you a stream of the day. I'm not giving you an extended stream list at the end of the show. Feel free to click off. Don't let the show run. You can not pay attention. We're just going to look at each game, what's happening, who's in, who's out, where are some options arising. We're also not going to go under the lens because I just did a sell high, buy low show earlier today, which digs into that stuff. And again, we've got 14 games to talk about. So let's get straight into those ones now. Let's get straight into the show that we're doing here. And let's first of all just take a look at some injury updates. Jamal Murray remains out. It looks like he is coming closer to returning, maybe next week. Wendell Carter is out, probably a week or so away there. Cam Thomas, Dennis Smith remain out. They're at least out the next couple of games. Not great from Ben Simmons. Remember the initial report from his agent? It's probably just a couple of games, 3 games. And I said, I called bullshit on it, and I acknowledged that there's a genuine risk that when someone tells you something and you go against it, that you look foolish. Well, yeah, it's Ben Simmons. So, yeah, he is not coming back anytime soon. I think in a lot of cases you can drop because we just don't have a clear timetable, and it is more likely to me that Ben Simmons misses the rest of the season than he returns this weekend. I'll say that much. I think he will come back, but he's not coming back soon. Xavier T. Illman, the cashier, he remains out for the next week or so. We're not holding on to him. Jaden McDaniels, we got news on his ankle injury today. He's going to be out at least a week. I don't believe you need to hold him in 12-team leagues. We're already debating whether he was a drop anyway, and now he's out. Kyle Anderson is who I would add versus or over Nickeil Alexander-Walker, even if I expect Alexander-Walker to start. There might be some extra minutes to read, but on a per-minute basis, like Alexander-Walker would have to play, I reckon, 14 more minutes than Anderson to be a better fantasy option. He'll have okay games, but if Kyle gets 27, that's useful, and if Alexander-Walker gets 30, it's not. He probably needs 37 and Anderson 21 for me to split the difference between those two. So that's where we're at with that. A bunch of other injuries to look at. CJ McCollum is out. He said he fractured a rib, but he is getting closer to returning, so he's not far away, it appears. I think he's back at practice already. So we're looking at maybe 2-3 more games for CJ. Larry Nance is dealing with a broken rib as well. He'll be out for a little bit more time. Matt Ryan is out for 10 to 14 days with a calf issue. And Trey Murphy, we're maybe a week away. We don't really know that one at this point. The Bronco, Jalen Williams, has been ruled out in advance. Not great. One day in advance, he's already been ruled out for Wednesday. We don't love that at all. So, Kaysen Wallace gets a start, most likely. But it also bumps up the minutes for someone like an Isaiah Joe. Now, Joe is a better per-minute producer than Wallace, so you could probably use, we'll talk about that later, you could probably use him over Kaysen, but that does bump Kaysen's value, who's been very, very good this season. Scoot Henderson, he's back practicing with the G League, and this is sort of right in line with the time frame. They're going to get Brogdon back maybe today as well. We don't know whether he's playing or not, but we would expect by Monday next week that both Scoot and Brogdon are returning, and that is probably going to mean that Mays is almost definitely going to mean Mays is a drop. I am holding Skylar Mays for the time being until Brogdon's actually back and playing over Mays. But what I like to do in a lot of these cases with, say, a Skylar Mays is wait one game. If I get one game where he plays 15 minutes, it's not ideal. But I'd rather wait for that bad game and then move on versus drop in advance. Brogdon comes in, doesn't actually start, and then pings his hammy 5 minutes in. I'd rather wait that one game, and I'd probably rather wait until both Scoot and Brogdon are back, to be honest. And then that'll probably mean the end of Skylar in that scenario. That's how I would approach that. We've got a bunch of questionable statuses. Big Dick Nick Richards is dealing with a concussion problem. Actually, did I miss someone there? I think I might have. Did I? No, I didn't. Big Dick Nick Richards is dealing with a concussion issue. So he is maybe going to play. Like, they haven't really been running a second center in that scenario either, so I don't think we need to worry too much about him in terms of... Well, he's got some streaming value, but that's about it we need to look at. The other ones I wanted to look at there was Terry Rozier, who we still don't... Oh, actually, we do have an update. He got ruled out, so there you go. They are terrible with their injury updates, the Hornets. And I think Richards actually might just got ruled out as well. Yeah, he did. Richards has been ruled out also, but is that for... Let me double check. I've just got to check the games because it's so confusing with every game on Tuesday, Wednesday. No, that's for Wednesday. So Rozier and Richards are both out for the Hornets, so we're still going to be able to roll with PJ and Hayward and Miller and Bridges all getting a lot of minutes in that scenario. Yeah, but those two guys returning will have an impact. Markelle Fultz is ruled out for Tuesday, but I don't know whether he plays on Wednesday. He might not. And then the big question marks are going to be Don Mitchell, Karis LeVert, Isaac Okoro for Cleveland. Mitchell and Okoro are already out, as is Milk, for Tuesday, but LeVert is currently questionable. If they are all out, of course, we are looking at the value of Craig Porter in that scenario. Unknown player. Of course, you can't use him for Tuesday on ESPN because he's been added, but he's on waivers until Wednesday. But there might be a chance on Wednesday, although with 14 games on, you're not going to use him. But we don't know Mitchell, LeVert, and Okoro. Andrew Nembhard missed the last game with a back issue. They've got a Tuesday, Wednesday back-to-back. He's currently questionable for Tuesday's game, Nembhard, so he may or may not play on Wednesday. Chris Duarte left last game for the Kings with a hand issue. So did Keegan Murray with a back issue. We're going to currently label them questionable. We've got Sasha Vezenkov, who didn't play last game, as questionable. Trey Lyles should be coming back soon, but I'm going to have him as doubtful for the time being. Devin Vassell is officially questionable for the Spurs, so that would put him back into the lineup or most likely, and Champagny off the bench. Although last time when Vassell came back, they did bring him off the bench. We talked about him on the Bilo show. We need to see a bit more from him. Been a little bit disappointing lately. Gary Payton's been officially upgraded to questionable. The Warriors, Steph is out and Payton is out, and then 2 games later they're back. Like, they put out these, he's out at least a week. Well, Gaz is questionable. So that might have an impact on how they use him, and Moody and Pajemski will be something for us to monitor with Golden State. LeBron is officially questionable for Tuesday, so I'm going to label him questionable here for Wednesday as well. With that shin/calf issue, would not be surprised if LeBron sits the game on Wednesday, but who knows? They play the Mavericks in that one. There's a chance that he sits. There's a chance that Anthony Davis sits there as well. But that because it is a back-to-back and we've got so many teams playing this back-to-back, it is a little bit hard to fully get that. Other guys who are out, Draymond Green still out, obviously Maxi Kleber still out, Gabe Vincent, Jared Vanderbilt could be questionable as well. He's currently out for Tuesday, but he might be available to play there also. So quite a lot of injuries that we are going to have to pay some attention to as things go on, but we'll get more updates on that tomorrow. Today's episode is brought to you by our partners over at eBay Motors. They've teamed up with me and the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast and the Locked On Podcast Network to bring you some of the best fantasy picks each week, all season long. Whether it is a daily draft situation or the waiver wire, every week we're going to look at players that are guaranteed to fit on your roster. Santi Aldama has to be the one we look at. With the weird situation of them losing a point guard and starting a power forward, that's what's happened, and it has worked. There are elements of regression that are coming for Aldama. He's probably not taking 27 shots a night, nor is he dishing 6 assists, but the minutes are going to be there until Smart and Morant returns. It seems this is the alignment they are going with. Now, of course, that could easily change if they start losing more games or getting smacked or Aldama plays poorly, but for now, we add him and we see where this goes. It is a great opportunity that has opened up for Santi Aldama. He might be a key to getting you a fantasy win this week, and eBay Motors knows all about a championship team and knows that each player being a perfect fit is key. And that is the same with your vehicles. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you can make sure that your ride stays running smoothly. Brake kits, LED headlights, roof racks, bumpers, whatever your baby needs, eBay Motors has it. When eBay is guaranteed fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride, because that's why it's called guaranteed fit. The first time, every time, all your money back. And at these prices, you are burning rubber and not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. eBay guaranteed fit, only available to US customers, eligible items only, exclusions apply. Last season, eBay used to tell me, let's ride, so let's do it. eBay Motors, let's ride. Okay, let's look at what's on my radar. Again, not doing stream of the day because there's 14 games on and realistically we're not streaming here. There's no games Thursday either, and then there's 10 on Friday. So even looking at chunks, we're just looking at weekend back-to-backs really. That's the way we're going to approach this. So we're just going through each of the 14 games and looking at individual things that we are paying attention to. And we start with Washington going into Charlotte. Can the Wizards pull it off, Giggity? I don't know. I don't think so. I think the Charlotte Hornets are significantly better than the Wizards. What we do want to watch, though, is baddie legend Jordan Poole. He decided, screw this shit, I'm taking shots. Now, he only had 1 rebound and 1 assist, and he shot 42%, but that was bad. But what had been the biggest problem with Poole? Where is the usage? Where are the minutes? And it came last game. Does it come again, Giggity? Guess we'll find out. Let's see what Jordan Poole does. On the Hornets side of things, they benched PJ Washington, and I'd be pretty pissed if I was PJ, but that's whatever. Let's see what his minutes look like. His line, last game, coming off the bench behind noted shit bloke, Miles Bridges, was okay. And with Richards out and with Rozier out, I think Washington is probably just a soft hold for now. But we always want to monitor how all the minutes shake out. In terms of, I'm just going to throw streaming names out there just to give us a couple of other things to discuss. Bilal Coulibaly is available in a lot of spots for the Wizards. I think he's okay to have in 12-team leagues. I would not call him a must. I think his shooting is going to dip. He's an interesting steals guy. He's getting 30 minutes a night, but he's already getting 30 minutes a night. So what is the big improvement that is coming from Bilal? Is he ever going to be a high usage guy? I don't think so. But he's okay to have, and he's good for defensive stats. And then on the Hornet side, we would stream in Nick Richards, but of course, he's been ruled out in between me creating this graphic and me talking to you. The next game is the Denver Nuggets and the Orlando Magic. We're going to look at what's on my radar in that game. And then for the Nuggets, it is Christian Brown, who's had a couple of big games lately. And last game, he replaced Nikola Jokic, who was ejected, and put up some good numbers. Now, I don't actually buy Christian Brown at all as a 12-team league guy, unless it appears there are 2 big injured guys, and that was Jamal Murray and Jokic, who was out. Right, but let's see what he's able to do. He's had a couple of interesting games, but a lot of stinkers in there as well. For the Magic, we do want to watch Franz Wagner. We put him on the buy low show because he's shooting just some horrible numbers. His 3-point percentage is well down. He hasn't had a single block in the last 2 weeks. His steal numbers are low. The shot has to be better than this, so let's see what he is able to do. His minutes and roll, secure. It's just the shot's not going in. In terms of stream, guys, for Denver, Reggie Jackson is still there. He's 80% available. He's not going to be good every night, but as a general totality and probably skewing more points than categories, there's something there with him to at least utilize. And then for the Magic, it is Johnny Isaac. We're always on John Isaac minutes watch. Can he consistently get 20? Last game he played 13, but it was a blowout. He still got a steal and a block. Can he be double-digit scoring, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 assists, 1.4 steals, 1 block? Well, if he is, that's a 12-team league guy. But we need to watch the value and watch the minutes for him. The Milwaukee Bucks, they go to take on the Boston Celtics. The Bucks are on, I'm just checking, there was an injury report that just got, Larry Nance is now questionable. All right, so for being out for weeks, he's now questionable. All right, so that just dropped right as I'm recording. Sick, love that. Always a fun time. This is what happens in the NBA. Stuff just changes all the time. Back to what we're talking about, Milwaukee and Boston. The Bucks have listed Damian Lillard on the injury report as probable, as well as Beauchamp and Chris Livingston, while Al Horford and Derek White are off the injury report, so they'll be back. For the Bucks, we want to watch Leaky Beasley, who has been an interesting points and 3 streamer, and his minutes are pushing up because of the absence of Jay Crowder. So he's interesting to look at. I don't think he's a must roster, though. For the Celtics, it's Slam and Sammy Hauser, who, when he starts, is dreadful, apparently, and when he comes off the bench, the best shooter of all time. Does that pattern hold? Can you stream him in if you've got a spot and you want 3 triples? Because he's done it nearly every game except for when he starts. In terms of streams, we are looking at Leaky Beasley, and then Al Horford's a really good stream for the Celtics. Again, in the situation where you might have an ability to do that, which is not going to be for everybody. In fact, it's going to be for likely nobody. The Miami Heat and the Cleveland Cavaliers, what is on my radar there? It is Kyle Lowry. It's the Kyle Lowry, Josh Richardson, Jaime Jaquez minutes distribution. Sometimes it's Lowry at 31. Sometimes it's Jaquez at 31. Jaquez has been shooting unbelievably. Does that continue? Lowry's been never shooting at all. How does that go? Lowry still has value over this time frame, less than Duncan Robinson and probably marginally ahead of Jaquez, but let's see what he brings. And then with Evan Mobley, I want to see Mobley continue to just elevate into a larger role. It's sort of been there, but it hasn't been consistent enough for me. And how much they play him at center versus where he's played at center in the past. In terms of streamers, it is Kyle Lowry. And then Craig Porter, maybe. If unknown player, or if Garland and Okoro and Milk and LeVert are out on Wednesday, then unknown player is going to have a pretty good role. But again, it's a 14-team day. So I don't know that you would use him, but he's definitely a player that we need to watch. A really interesting statistical player. The Toronto Raptors and the Indiana Pacers. We do want to watch the Jedi, OG Anunoby, because he has struggled with his shot since returning. His steal numbers are in the toilet. They're almost half of what they were last season. And that's unlikely to stay at that bad of a level, but we've got to watch it. Get the shots up, my guy. Get them to go in and start generating some steals. For the Pacers, I do want to watch Siobhan O'Heald because his production's been all over the place. And someone commented on one of the videos the other day, hey, I can't believe it. Buddy Hield was dropped in my league. And I sort of can, right? There are people who just, I don't know what the right word is. I will get a lot of things wrong. You know that. Shout out to Jordan Poole, right? I'll get a lot of things wrong. But also, I got Buddy Hield right. I just didn't see him doing anything that replicated last season. And he was, to me, a very fringe late round pick. And it's somehow been worse than I expected. He is going to have nights where he's strong, but he's moving closer towards being a Malik Beasley points and three stream versus a 2022-2023 Buddy Hield type of a player. So let's see how they utilize him. In terms of streams, it is Gaz Trent in Toronto. He's a points and threes guy. Is he better than Buddy Hield? Well, he's not far off it. They're sort of in that similar zone, yeah? And then there is Sticks, Jalen Smith, who's been very, very good in his backup role this season. And you know that I've been very critical of Sticks because he's a frustratingly bad player who squandered his starting opportunity last season, but he's actually improved significantly. His efficiency is really, really quite high this season. Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Score early in the NBA season and in the in-season tournament with FanDuel, America's number one sportsbook, because right now new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 just if the team that you bet on wins. That's all you need to do. Could you look at Charlotte and expect them to get the win over the Wizards? Yeah, that's a bit risky. Would you want to put it on the Bucks and the Celtics? Probably not. But there are going to be big opportunities to get those $150 in bonus bets back. So if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. They've got lots of different bet types, parlays, single game parlays. That's what I was trying to say. Spreads, totals, player props, futures. FanDuel has it all. So go to FanDuel.com/lockedon and tip off the NBA season. FanDuel is an official partner of the NFL. And don't forget to gamble responsibly. Let's go through our next game, and it is the Brooklyn Nets and the Atlanta Hawks. Who is on my radar in this one? Well, it is the Johnsons, because Cam Johnson's struggling. The shot's not going in. He had a little bit of this problem last season after the trade, but historically he's been a 40% three-point shooter, and he's really not getting that going at the moment. We need to see that going. Do not drop him. He's an absolute buy low, as detailed on the Buy Low show. And then for the Hawks, another guy that was on the Buy Low show was the other Johnson, Jalen Johnson, who's rolling at 60% threes and 90% from the line, the best shooter of all time over the last 2 weeks. His role is relatively secure. He's not getting benched anytime soon, but he might occasionally have a game where he plays 25 minutes. But that shot is insane. It's just not likely to hold. So we just need to watch his role, how he's deployed, how real is the shooting, when's it going to fall away. In terms of streams, with the absence of Dennis Smith, Cam Thomas, and Ben Simmons, yes, Lonnie Walker IV is an option for us when you stream in for points. He has no longevity to me. He doesn't contribute in multiple categories. He needs a lot of shots and he needs efficiency. But with everyone out, he will get the shots. So you're halfway there to having stream value. On the Hawks side of things, it is the depressed penis. And remember, Atlanta and Cleveland have the weekend back-to-back. They have the Saturday-Sunday, which is a great combination for streaming with the lower volume days there. So Sadiq Bey, DeAndre Hunter look really, really strong as ads. Even if you don't use them Wednesday, you've got that little ad in advance, and you can use them on that weekend back-to-back combination. The next one we look at is the Memphis Grizzlies and the Houston Rockets. What is on my radar here? It's Santi Aldama. I have absolutely zero doubt that Santi will continue to start, but how do they distribute the shots? I will absolutely fall over, and I don't know what I'll do something if he takes the same amount of shots as Desmond Bane every game. and takes 27 of them. That's what happened last game. So we need to see the shot distribution and Santi's role in the offense. While for the Rockets, Jalen Green has stunk. And when you get benched for Aaron Holiday, which happened last game, there probably needs to be some reassessment of where he's going. Now, I would suggest, how do you view this? Rockets fans, fantasy fans, NBA fans. What is the prospect priority order for the Rockets? I would suggest, not priority, who's the best prospect? Şengün? Amen? Jabari? Jalen? Whitmore? That's how I think we view it. And Jalen Green was the number 2 overall pick. I'm not saying he can't be okay, but I think all those other guys are better prospects. He needs to pull his finger out quickly. He needs to be more efficient. He needs to do something else that's not just scoring and then not being consistent at that either. In terms of streams, Bismack Biyombo is going to have the center spot on lockdown for the foreseeable future. And then Tari Eason will return. He missed the last game with that recovery from the stress reaction in his leg. So he'll be back, and he's an interesting stream guy if you've got the spot. Philadelphia and Minnesota is the next game. We do want to watch the wave pool D'Anthony Melton. To me, it's not about the shooting numbers for Melton, which have been awesome the last few weeks. They were shithouse, dreadful. Everyone, man, what do you see in Melton? Everyone loves him, drop him. And now it's like, oh my God, Melton's killing it. The reality lies somewhere in the middle. But his ability to get out of position blocks, some very good steals, rebounds, assists, and occasionally shoot well, but get the minutes. That's what we love. And he's getting them, so let's watch it again. And then for the Wolves, for the Wolves. Towns, rolling. He's putting up either big usage numbers or big assist numbers. There's always something that seems to be flying very high for Towns. I think he is playing over his head at the moment in terms of the level of production. It is going to pull back down to probably end second round type zone. But he's rolling at the moment, so let's see how they continue to use him and how the usage splits between him and Anthony Edwards. In terms of streams, Nico Batum will likely start. He's really not going to provide much for 12s. And then it is Kyle Anderson, the guy we're looking at in Minnesota with Jaden McDaniels out. Sacramento and New Orleans. New Orleans is the next game. I do want to watch De'Aaron Fox because this guy's shooting percentages continue to always confound me. Last season, prime Shaq at the rim. This season, prime Yusuf Nurkic. Current Yusuf Nurkic. Can't really hit him at the rim. But now he's decided to turn to Steph Curry from 3 or turn into Kevin Durant from mid-range. I don't buy any of that. I don't buy that he's as bad from the rim as he is this season. I don't buy that he was as good as last season. And I definitely don't buy that he's a 40+% three-point shooter. He's been great. But I'm still waving a big red flag. Shout out to me, Kings hater. Where are they on my hate list? Number 3? Who do you reckon's which team am I the biggest hater of? It's definitely the Pistons. It's the Kings, the Raptors, the Bulls. There's 4. I got accused of being a Warriors hater yesterday. That's 5. Heat hater. That's 6. Who else am I? That's probably where we're at. 6, I'd say. Surely there's more. There's got to be more that I'm a hater of. Yeah, let's go with 6 for now. I've got 6 teams that I'm a distinct hater of. And one of them is the Kings. We want to watch Herb Jones because the numbers this man is putting up are insane, averaging about 10 combined assists, steals, and blocks over the last 2 weeks. I think it's at 9.6. There is no way. That is not going to hold. Not a chance. He's also shooting like insane numbers from 3. Also not going to hold. Rolling. I misjudged him at the start of the season, but nothing that he is doing, not true. A lot of what he is doing won't hold. So let's see if it doesn't hold. In terms of streamers, Harrison Barnes has been dropped in enough spots that he is available to stream and he's useful. And then for the Pelicans, it is Dyson Daniels. We get another crack to see what happens with Alvarado there, but I do think that Daniels still can get 27 to 30 minutes and be useful enough. I'm not ready to drop him just yet. The Clippers and the Spurs. Rusty Westbrook. Bad minutes in the first game off the bench, better in the second. Production is still not looking good. I don't mind a hold in a points. In a 12-team category, I think you can move on, but I also don't mind holding just to see how it rolls out. But it's been seemingly very clear that without Westbrook starting, that everything works better. And I'm not sure that means he gets even 25 minutes a night every night. For the Spurs, I do want to watch Victor Wembanyama because the efficiency has been a real problem. Is that some of it him? Yes. Is it development? Yes. Is it bad point guard play? Also, yes. But let's see if Wemby can actually start to put together some better efficiency performances. In terms of streams, it is Norman Powell who's in the closing unit for this team a lot over Terrence Mann, and he can be a good scoring option. And the other one is Charlie Bassey. We saw it last game. Now, it looked like Bassie Goldfinger would be sort of phased out of the rotation. Came back roaring last game. And if if Zach Collins gets hurt, I'd be very interested in old Charlie Bassie as a guy to take a crack at. The Chicago Bulls and the Oklahoma City Thunder. This might be a 50-point margin to the Thunder in this one. I want to watch the skater boy Zach LaVine because this man is kickflipping his way all the way out of Chicago. He's not taking shots. He's still, his fantasy rank's actually okay. But he's just pissing, moaning, bitching, complaining. He's got to be out of here. He took like 9 shots last game. He's much better than this. Let's see what petulance we get in this one. And then for the Thunder, the slob wizard, Josh Giddey. He has struggled. He's disappointed. What I want to watch is the minutes. Do they just keep rolling 26, 27? Can he get to 31? It's not like his individual numbers are terrible. They just don't play him that much, and I understand why. In terms of stream, guys, Alex Caruso is more than a stream. He should be rostered everywhere. And Isaiah Joe is probably the guy we look at for the Thunder. Or you could look at Cason Wallace because he's likely going to start with the Bronco out. The Jazz and the Blazers. That's the next one up. The man on the street, Jordan Clarkson, is flying. He's scoring 30 points a game over the last 2 weeks. He's a top 20 player. There's no way any of that is real. We want to watch his three-point shooting, which is up at really high numbers, 39% from the field. He's hitting everything. His usage is up. It helps that Keontae George is finding him in the right spots, but there's no way any of this shit holds from Clarko. And then for the Blazers, I sort of want to watch Toumani Kamara. I want to see what happens with Brogdon as well. But Kamara, who's been starting, but is he a 20-minute guy or a 30-minute guy? That is important for deeper leagues. And side note to that, Jabari Walker, very interesting per minute producer. In terms of streams, Kelly Olynyk with Walker Kessler out. He's been a bit mid, but that's Kelly Olynyk. And then the other one is Matisse Thybulle when we're looking for defensive stats. He can always pop off at any point for a 3-steal, 3-block game. The Warriors and the Suns. Chris Paul starting is a very different player to Chris Paul off the bench, and Draymond Green is out. I see no reason that Chris Paul won't start again, and that absolutely boosts his minutes and his fantasy production. Let's see whether that holds true. For the Suns, Yusuf Nurkic's last couple of games have been good. Now, at any point, he's likely to suck, and Drew Eubanks plays 22 minutes, but Nurkic in 32 minutes is an excellent fantasy player. Is he able to keep up this level of form and be useful for us? We'll find out. No Bradley Beal, of course. Dario Saric off the bench, but played more minutes than Looney. I feel like this is going to be a little bit of a back and forward between those two, making it really hard to peg which way we want to go. Saric is probably a better per minute producer, but honestly, I think both guys look more streamy than anything. And then Eric Gordon and Grayson Allen are you interesting guys there on Phoenix replacing Brad Beal. And they have been the guys that have been starting. And I believe, and according to my calculations, that is... Oh no, there's one more game left. So let's do that, and that is the Dallas Mavericks and the Los Angeles Lakers. Josh Green started last game for Derek Jones in the second half. Is that going to be something that continues? I don't think we want to look at Josh Green as a 12-team guy, but we want to watch that. And for the Lakers, Austin Reeves. His numbers have been okay off the bench. I just want more minutes. Do we really need to sit Austin Reeves at 26 minutes a night? That's frustrating. I think he needs more, but we'll find out what they do with it. In terms of streams, Green is probably the guy for Dallas. And then Cam Reddish. If you're looking for steals, this man could get 3 or 4 very easily every night. And they're pumping minutes into him. What happens when Vanderbilt returns? I don't know. And that will be something we need to monitor if Jared even returns in this game at all, which he may or may not. And that, guys, is the end of our daily look ahead. I said no stream of the day. We're not doing streaming lists as such because it's 14 games. I just wanted to give you an overview of the things that we need to pay attention to from a fantasy perspective on this insane 14-game day. Of course, I'll recap it all tomorrow, and there'll be another waiver wire show popping off tomorrow morning. Also, go check out the Buy Low show that has dropped earlier today. Guys, we are done here. You know the things. Subscribe, bells, comments, all that stuff. We're done. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.